All right. So you just hopefully you don't have too many windows on the right. 'Cause I know you said you wanted to like remove the windows. You might want to click on the minimize for the window so you only see the presentation. You see what I'm saying? To minimize the videos.
Yeah, I try. Moment. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So tonight's topic is the human fall. Let's do an overview about tonight. I'm gonna start tonight by giving a short story, and I will share a little bit about my own life and how I've practiced the principles that we're gonna talk about tonight. Number two, I'll go briefly over the ideal of creation as it's explained in the principle, divine principle that we're studying. Sorry. And we believe at the core of the principle of the ideal of creation is the human family. And we have here a beautiful picture of a man and a woman and their children. Number three, I'm going to go over the fallen reality. Despite God, who is our creator, giving human beings a blessing to become fruitful and multiply, actually, we've done the very opposite. So we'll very briefly touch on the fallen reality. And tonight's focus, I would like for us to really listen carefully and also discuss what is our original nature. We believe the principle says that every human being has an original nature that reflects God and love. But also, we have a fallen nature. So tonight, I really hope to help you understand better from the principle point of view what our fallen nature is. I once again, this principle is a new idea, a new expression of truth, and so some of the concepts you hear tonight might be new, but I will be referencing the Bible, especially the New Testament, to help you have some reference point. So I want to start with a short story, and I'd like to share this in all honesty with you because we're sharing openly here, and I also want you to feel open to share about your life. You know, I have a father who I really love, and my father, however, has some drinking problems. Ever since I was a child, my father has uh, drank alcohol and he gets drunk very often. One day, I had a question myself. When my father drinks alcohol, he often helps me. He often asks me, Jorge, could you bring me the beer from the refrigerator? So, what do you think I should do? Should I help him drink or should I tell him, no, I'm not getting you any beer? What do you think? In that situation, for me, I had to really struggle because either I get him the beer in the refrigerator, but if I do that, I'm helping him drink, right?
Yeah.
Or I tell him, no, I'm not going to get the beer. You need to stop drinking. That's kind of like disobedience, right? It's a kind of a tricky question. I had a conversation with somebody one day. His name is John Terrio, one of our good friends and from the Family Federation in New York. After I learned the principle, and he said, Jorge, think about keeping your proper position. You are your father's son. And if he asks you to help him get the beer, you should help him get the beer so that you maintain your proper position. And I was surprised to hear that. I was like, wait, are you telling me that I should help him drink? Isn't that helping him do the very habit that he should not be doing? But in reality, brothers and sisters, when I practice that word of keeping my proper position, my father and I became closer in heart. So I believe that what we're going to hear about tonight about the original fallen nature is very true, and it can help us build better relationships with our family. All right. So let's talk a little bit about this ideal of creation. The principle revealed by God to Reverend and Mrs. Moon say that God is the origin of humanity, and in the original family, and actually all families, consist of a man and a woman in the position of husband and wife who are supposed to give birth to children who are pure, without sin. Now, I know some people don't agree. Some people think that God wanted the original family to commit sin so that God can send Jesus. You might have heard that before. But I
Mhm.
really want to ask you, was that really the will of God? Did God really want to create a world of sin? We believe that God is the heavenly parent, and man and woman are supposed to reflect that parental love of God. If you see those yellow arrows on the screen, I'm trying to show you that there's a harmonious relationship between God, who is the origin, and man and woman. And those children would be more likely to reflect the nature of God, reflect an original nature, reflect a heart which is not self-centered, not just wanting to take and live by themselves for themselves, but rather selfless heart, trying to live for the sake of others. We believe that this is the original world that God wanted to create. I'm going to ask my dear friend, Reverend Klaus Schick, to read this quote from the Bible. This is in the book of Revelation, which is the last book in the Bible. And it gives us an idea of what this original ideal world that God wanted to create looks like. Reverend Schick, can you unmute yourself? Could you read slowly
Yeah.
these few
Okay.
verses, please?
And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he will dwell with them. They will be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God." Continue.
Yes.
He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning, or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away.
Thank you very much. Now, this is the world that we're talking about, the world where there's no mourning or crying or pain. Now, I know the Bible says there no death, no more death. I don't think this is talking about physical death because the principle does say that physical death is part of the natural order of things, but no more death in the sense of spiritual death. Do you believe tonight that that world is possible? How can we get there? Hopefully, by the end of this presentation, you'll take some good notes on how we can really practice our original nature and overcome our fallen nature so that we are closer and closer to that ideal world. Now, that's a beautiful ideal, right? But how about my daily life? How about my home situation? How about my reality? Is it the same? Very likely we live in a different world. Now, the word Satan here, when we say Satan, we are referring to the master of evil and the origin of everything that is fallen, right?
Mhm.
Instead of God having that origin position, Satan, who originally was an archangel, fell and took the position of God. So those four positions that you saw continued. A man and a woman continued multiplying and having children, but instead of God being the origin, Satan took that original position. You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So therefore, those arrows still continue. There were still relationships being born, give and receive action, but not centering on God, not centering on goodness, but rather on selfishness and hatred and envy and lust. I'd like for you to consider the heart of God at this time. Do you think that God, who had that hope and ideal for his children, how do you think he felt when he saw that reality, when he saw his first son, Adam, when he saw his first daughter, Eve, fall to the lies of the archangel? Now, I know this story is explained differently in different traditions, but I'm tonight, for the sake of tonight's presentation, I'm focusing on the Garden of Eden, Genesis 1:28, the Genesis story. How do you think God felt? His heart must have been broken. I'd like to ask our sister, our dear elder sister, Elise, Could you read this verse in the book of John to help us understand the fallen reality? John
Oh,
8:44.
yes. You are of your father, the devil, and your will is to do your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning and does not stand in the truth because there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks out of his own character, for he is a liar and the father of lies.
Thank you very much. That's the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 44. And those are the words of the one and only Jesus. Now, you look at that key word that I highlighted, Father. I mean, that's a strong statement. Think about it. He's not just saying that Satan, the devil, is our master. He's called them our father. What does that mean, Father? What that means is that all children, all of us, in some way, have inherited through our bloodline. We've inherited some qualities from the archangel Lucifer, who we also call Satan. And not only it came from Satan, the reason why the children inherited that nature is because the first man, Adam, and the first woman, Eve, practiced fallen nature. Now you might be wondering, what is this fallen nature that you're talking about? Help me understand, Jorge, because I don't understand what you're saying. So let me give you a very beautiful diagram centering on, again, we're centering on the Genesis story of Adam, the letter A for Adam, E for Eve, L for Lucifer. Now I know you might be thinking, are you sure it's Lucifer? Even I thought myself, is it Lucifer or who? There's actually not so much evidence that shows exactly why that angel in the beginning was Lucifer, but there are some scriptures that I can share with you later that does explain that the snake in the Garden of Eden was an angel, and not only an angel, an archangel. For the sake of tonight's purpose, let's focus on this original nature and this fallen nature. What were the first man and woman and this first angel supposed to do? They were supposed to see each other from God's point of view. You see that? Seeing from God's point of view is the first original nature. Adam and Eve were God's children, and they receive a commandment from God to fulfill the tree of life, which is the hope of man, and not eat of the forbidden fruit. Instead of seeing each other as brothers and sisters, they fell to the lie of the archangel and they ate the fruit. Now, you might be wondering, what was that fruit? Tonight, we cannot get into the detail of the fruit, but I want to tell you tonight that the fruit in the garden was not a literal apple. It wasn't an orange. It was not a mango. It wasn't a grape. It was nothing. That fruit was a symbol for love. So when Adam and Eve heard the voice of the angel saying, are you sure God told you that you shouldn't eat of the fruit? Are you sure that God told you not to do this? He was really lying to them. And so Lucifer, that angel, started to see Adam and Eve, not from God's point of view, but from his own perspective. And he failed to treat Adam and Eve as God's children. Okay. Actually, the principle that we're studying tonight, I don't know if you can see this book in my hand, but this principle that we're studying tonight gives a little bit more evidence and says that the angel felt jealousy and envy towards Adam and Eve because of who they were. And that envy was what led him to lie to them. So he couldn't see Adam and Eve as God's children, and they failed to keep their proper position. Now, let me give you a practical example, because you're probably thinking, wait a minute, Jorge. You're going way back. You're going way back right now. But I'm right here. I'm in the present time. What does this mean for me? Think about it like this. If you're in a business or a company, you have a boss. Imagine the boss has an employee who is your coworker, and your boss gives the coworker a promotion. and you were the one who felt, hold on, I've been working here like for 5 years. Why did he or she get a promotion before me? And you feel, what do you feel?
Jealous and
Oh my
resentment.
gosh. But that's not all. That jealousy might lead you, or maybe not you, or somebody, right? It might lead that person to leave their proper position.
Mhm.
And those feelings come up. And so instead of being now the subordinate, right? You have a supervisor now who was your co-worker. Instead of following their instructions as a faithful employee, you try to take their position and you try to give them instructions because you want their position. That's what happened in the beginning, and that's what happens still today all the time. Even I myself, a few minutes ago, I was just playing Uno, playing a card game with my family, and I was giving my brother instructions, but I didn't even start the game. Like, why am I taking his position? So what I'm trying to share with you tonight is that this original and fallen nature, it can happen at any moment. And so it is our task to discern, what am I really supposed to do? How do I keep my proper position? How do I see that person from God's point of view? And I hope tonight that with this understanding, you can practice this better. Let's go to number three, because I don't want to spend too much time here. But number three was keeping the proper dominion. The proper dominion was what? The Bible says in the book of Hebrews, chapter 1, that the angels are ministering spirits. So the proper dominion is that Adam and Eve, as human beings, are not under the dominion of the angel. They are not supposed to be dominated by the angel. They are supposed to properly govern the angels. So when the snake came to Eve and lied to her, she should have done what? She should have
Taught him
practiced.
what was the what was the truth. Mhm.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, no.
It's okay. I want you to.
Apologize.
No, no,
Go
no. I
ahead.
mean, it's okay to talk. I mean, I want us. If we were in person, I'd be pausing a lot more. But anyway, Eve was supposed to, like Elise probably was gonna say, not follow his word and tell him, no, we're not supposed to be eating the fruit. We're not supposed to be engaging in any kind of relationship with this fruit. I know the fruit is symbolic again. What happened in reality? The angel told them what to do, and he became their ruler. That's why the book of Second Corinthians, and again, I can give you this Bible if you ask. Just ask for it in the chat. I can give you all the verses that I'm referring to. Second Corinthians said that the Satan is the ruler of the world. So, like I showed you earlier, that origin position was taken by Lucifer instead of by God, and he reversed the meaning completely. Now, finally, number four, the original nature is for us to multiply goodness, for us to be motivated when we see something good happening, someone become happy. We see somebody experience joy, maybe at school, at work, at home, and we're supposed to continue to multiply that environment. And if you see somebody, for example, helping their neighbor, I don't know, cross the street, then you multiply goodness by helping somebody else and helping somebody else and give and take and give and take, and therefore multiplying goodness. It can happen all around you. But instead of multiplying goodness, the angel, Lucifer, lied to Eve and she lied to Adam, and they seduced each other. It was all a horrible situation. Can you imagine God's heart when that, I wrote here, multiplying the criminal act. I like the word criminal because I studied criminal justice. It helps me understand. Multiplying the criminal act. So somebody lied to somebody and they just passed it on and passed it on. You ever heard about peer pressure? You ever heard about secondhand smoke? I mean, things just multiply and multiply. And therefore, that is a fourth characteristic of fallen nature. So the left is the original nature, what we're supposed to practice. The right is the fallen nature, the characteristics that we've inherited from our parents and our parents' parents and our forefathers and our foremothers and everybody. And this really has become the reality. Hopefully, tonight you're able to discern yourself and your surroundings better. And when you see somebody practice the original nature, you can follow that. But if you see somebody leaving the proper position, reversing the meaning, I hope that with tonight's presentation, you can detect that and actually not follow it. In conclusion, we see a beautiful picture of Reverend Samuel Moon and his wife Hak Jahan. By the way, they are the original teachers of this principle. I didn't make any of this tonight myself. Of course, I did create the PowerPoint, but we're really sharing the great news from our teachers and founders, Reverend and Mrs. Moon. So, number one, in conclusion, we went over the ideal of God with the human family. Number two, we created a fallen world. That reality was a choice that we made, and we have a choice to restore the reality. Number three, I hope we can be more aware of and discern original versus fallen nature. Thank you tonight. Reverend Sheikh, you can stop recording so that we can go into our conversation. There should be a button in the bottom to stop the recording. Yeah, we should have a nice discussion about this. And